What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color, playing as Ra. It's none other than King Kimo himself. Kimo's been back. He did have a slight venture over to the Age of Empires 4 universe, where he actually took the ladder by storm in his first month of playing there. But since then, I don't think he's had quite as much success as he might have liked. He's definitely going to be getting better over there the more he plays, but he does have some catching up to do. But maybe because of the Retold announcement, he's back reinvigorated to play some Age of Mythology and keep his level high. Obviously, he's going to have to be playing Age of Mythology for quite some time in order to get there, but we are seeing Kimo actually doing something a little bit strange at the start here. We'll come back to it and explain what's going on after taking a quick look at his opponent today, who's spawning on the top side of the map in the red color, playing as Poseidon. His name is indeed Skady. Of all of the players currently playing, Skady is one of my absolute most favorites to watch. Reason being is he can play all 12 of the gods at a ridiculously high level. Not only that, he comes at the game from a very, very different perspective, and is incredibly strong because of it. He's got a whole bunch of different strategic ideas, and he can kind of just get away with whatever he wants to because of his wild gameplay. Not only that, he also knows how to play incredibly solid and defensive, and does all the right things. So let's jump over to Kimo's perspective and talk about what Kimo's doing here and why it's so strange, peculiar, different. Kimo has gone for husbandry. He's gone for husbandry on a hunt map on Blue Lagoon with 3 giraffe. Now, the big question here is this good? Is this going to be a strong opener for Kimo or not? Is he going to be okay with competing kind of from behind because he's lost out on the 30% bonus that the giraffe are going to give, the giraffe would have given him? The big thing here is that if you have 3 giraffe in your base with Ra, you can very easily do a two monument, I believe, maybe we'll just say 1 monument, 4-minute 30 advance time, maybe 4-minute 15 advance time, and continue from there into a second town center. But Kimo might be thinking of something completely different here. We have been seeing Ra players going for 1 town center ideas more and more. We can see Kimo right now is actually empowering his wood line, looking to get himself the extra wood to get himself pickaxe. Staying 1 town center on an open map like Blue Lagoon makes a lot of sense to me, especially against Poseidon. The idea of being super hyper aggressive, getting raids, pushing your opponent off of hunt at around like 9 minutes and hitting gold mines, hitting wood lines with your camelry, jumping over walls with your rock, just being hyper aggressive makes a lot of sense into later town centers, or maybe into an early mythic age for big pushes, utilizing shifting sands and having a good time. The reason for this is because the Poseidon players and Greek players in general have gotten so insanely good at abusing Hippolyta. And I say abusing Hippolyta in the sense that she comes in, she throws arrows at your opponent, at your villages, she throws arrows at you getting your town center up. Things are really, really bad where that is concerned, and it can be really, really frustrating to play against. So oftentimes it's just safer and easier to just stick 1 town center and just not worry about it. We see the temple up. We see a 5-minute advance time. We've got only 4 villages on gold right now. Obviously, some more are going to come over here so that Kimo can build farms. But this, to me, really looks like a 1 town center gameplay. And I'm excited to see how Kimo's going to actually use this, because it's super un-Kimo-like. As we see Skady, he's got his second town center already coming up. He's gone through Hermes, playing a very, very standard 4-minute 30 advance time. He gets himself his centaur, his free centaur. I think he's skipping out on his heroes for now. He's realizing that Kimo's advanced quite late and he can kind of ignore the Hippolyta for some reason. I mean, I guess he sees the gold mine, he sees the sentry tower, he realizes there's probably not so much he can get out of it, but Skady is just grabbing Kimo's forward town center here, and he's going to try and hold on to it. So we'll see how that's going to go as the game progresses, but I'm interested into what Kimo's doing, and Kimo's funnily enough, he's going for a town center. This is bizarre. This is absolutely bizarre. If I was playing this game against any kind of 1800 level plus Poseidon, this town center would have Hippolyta on it, Theseus on it, and a centaur. And for whatever reason here, Skady has decided not to do it. I don't know what the exact reason is for it, but maybe Skady's going for a fast third town center here or something. But Skady's decided against it. Skady's going for early walls instead. This town center is obviously kind of the nuts, as it were. If you're a poker player, you get a huge amount of hunt on it, so you can skip farms in a big way and go to the mythic age, or go to the heroic age, and then farm while going to the heroic age. I mean, if you've got enough berries here, which it might not seem like Kimo has, so Kimo's going to be going for a very, very greedy farm build, which does actually make things a little bit scary for Kimo. So if we take a quick look at the map, gold mines over here, we see this gold mine, this gold mine, this gold mine are all out of bounds for Kimo. Kimo's going to have to destroy this town center first to get a second gold mine. And then there is this gold mine in the top corner, which he might be able to grab, but it's going to be tough for him. So things are going to be slow here in this game for the time being, as we do see the farms coming up, and Kimo's actually ignoring the zebra to throw up these farms, which, I mean, okay, so you don't know the map layout when you spawn into the game, so it's hard to pick what strategy you should go for straight away. So sometimes you don't know that going hunting dogs was actually a really, really good idea here. So maybe this is why Kimo's gone this route. Funnily enough, the idea of maybe delaying hunting dog, or delaying the husbandry pickup straight away and maybe grabbing hunting dogs just like a minute delayed is not such a bad idea, just in case the town center has got great hunt on it and you can think, okay, I'll just go for a fast town center. Maybe it's a way to start going forward for Ra, but in any case, this build order from Kimo is incredibly standard, and it's going to be able to get him a huge amount of economy. He's going to be super happy in the heroic age with all of his farms. The problem is going to be that Skady can very easily think about getting a gold starve with a really nice heroic age timing here. If he gets out the curse, he gets out Prodromus, cavalry, Hippocon, I should say, and gets up to heavy cavalry, he's going to be in a fantastic position. We've got walls set up all over the place by Skady. He hasn't yet finished them. They're a little bit, I would say maybe a little bit late, but he's still got time to finish them all off. You can see the villagers walking around the map. The big advantage of going for an early second town center, well, the big advantage of going for an early second town center for any god is you get more villagers, but the bigger where that comes from and what you can do with it means that sending one villager out to build walls isn't as big as a hit to your economy as if you're on one town center. Oftentimes I see players, comments on YouTube, people go, man, why didn't you build walls? And often the reason is because I'm one town center and I can't afford to sacrifice that extra villager and all of the gold sink into walls. To do that, I would rather go for an earlier timing or get the extra couple of resources, 100 resources, 200 resources to advance faster and put pressure on. But Skady here with the extra town center, it's not that big of a hit in the whole grand scheme of things. We do see a little bit of a gap here on this wall, a bit of a mistake there from Skady as Kimo has sacrificed her villager to the scouting cause, as it's just going to walk through and be very, very sad. So Kimo now throwing down a barracks, getting himself a second monument as he's advancing to the next age. I wouldn't be surprised to see a market thrown up over here by Kimo straight away. He's got a lot of food economy. He could start the trade route straight away. Kimo's now going to be moving out. He's going to see the walls, and we do see the Pitsukos immediately being targeted down here. He does get a little bit of damage onto that Centaur over here as the Theseus, Hippolyta, and Centaur have to retreat away. Kimo's going to be looking for some raids now with the rock. If I'm playing this situation now, I'm thinking more and more about this as Ra. I think that this rock is relatively inefficient to fly around and raid with. Using Locust early is always going to be a good thing to try. We will be seeing a villager kill here. So maybe just in the early stages doing this, not so bad if the opponent's got forward villagers or something. But the idea of just floating this rock over here, over a wall thing or something like this, so that your cavalry can jump over it, not a bad idea to go for, as we are seeing Kimo's going to be moving up to the top side of the map. He's making a really, really good decision to do this at this point. We see the shifting sands coming in. We've got ourselves a big locust getting thrown down. A whole bunch of villagers going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 villagers getting picked off. 7 villagers in total so far from this rock have been picked off. It's not that big of a deal for Skady, but Skady definitely didn't want to have any villagers killed with locust. But not that big of a deal. Nonetheless, we see the villagers coming up over here. This villager trying to finish off this wall, but not going to be happening here just yet. Skady hits the heroic age through Aphrodite there at the 10-minute mark, and he's going to be rebuilding his Hippolyta as Kimo's making his way up to the top side of the map to grab this gold mine. Barracks coming down. We are going to be seeing a couple of kills over here, and Skady's got a very, very difficult time. Oh, not Skady. Kimo's got a very, very difficult time ahead of him because he's chosen to go for this gold mine really early. And Skady just needs to get up to pop, cast Curse, maybe get himself some upgrades, and he's going to be able to push through this army and attack this gold mine. And it's very, very far away from where everything else is happening. But right now, Skady is making a bit of a mistake here going after this fight because Kimo's army should be able to win this if he fights it well, especially if he gets to use those chariots to take down the Theseus. But Curse does get used over here as the Hippolyta are going to be taking down the Wadjet. The other Wadjet going to be falling soon as now the Nemean Lion's going to be coming in here. I would like to see Skady targeting down the Pharaoh if he can to allow that Nemean Lion to go to town on this army. But right now, Kimo doing a decent job. He's actually still gathering on this location. Might have been a decent idea to send the Nemean Lion actually up to the gold mine, but Skady has to retreat back. Kimo's dealt with the curse, and he's going to be fine for the time being. Going to be throwing down a siege works in this location here. And Skady retreats back. Kimo's at 108 population. Skady's at 97 population here as he's not able to continue fighting. One thing that I'm never going to understand it. I'm never going to understand it. The Toxotes being built here, they just lose to chariot archers. They lose to cavalry. They kind of deal with spearmen, but not really. The spearmen have got 5.0 speed. They can kind of run in and get into the Toxotes themselves anyways. Maybe if you've got fully upgraded Toxotes and your opponent's got no upgrades, they can be okay. But for the most part, the Ra should be able to keep up with Toxotes in a big way and be able to keep pushing in. Had Skady just gone full Cav here or Cav hoplites, I think this could be a different story. There's plenty of food on the map for Skady. He can obviously build farms as well. But Skady has actually been forced to cast Ceasefire right now as Kimo's army is completely overpowering Skady. Nice play from Skady here, forcing that one out. Skady's going to be looking to grab this town center. Sorry, Kimo's going to be looking to grab this town center during this this ceasefire, I would assume. The other option is to go heroic, to go mythic age through Osiris, and simply just try and push this town center. Could be a better idea, but we'll see how it's all going to go. As now Kimo's attempting to move in onto this position, grab this mining camp, and see what he can do. As Kimo retreats back, siege works is up, and we are seeing some attempt at walling in on this position by Skady. Just be a little bit annoying. Kimo's already kind of walled this off. It's a bit of a weird wall. Does he not see the cliff here? I mean, he probably doesn't know that the forest is so small, but a wall over here and a wall over here would have maybe been a little bit more cheap and easy, but it doesn't matter. Kimo's going to continue claiming his position. We see the marker going up in the corner, a little bit of a Matrius marker, but it is what it is. Now Skady's going to be pushing back in yet again. Kimo's army is still very, very strong, and he's fighting underneath Migdol Fire. This is going to be a tough one for Skady to win, as we're seeing Horus actually coming through by Kimo. Super early Horus, and a very, very risky Horus at that. Oftentimes the Poseidon player can get up through Hephaestus and fight back against Horus. So I'm surprised to see Kimo going for that option here, as Skady's population is sitting fairly nicely at 124 of 130 population. Obviously, there's no ceasefire remaining. Kimo's forced the ceasefire out, so that means that the tornado push is going to be really, really strong. So we'll see how this is going to end up going for Kimo. He's got plenty of resources in the bank, but he's only got 3 military production buildings at this point. So he's a little bit in a little bit of difficulty is going to be coming in for him, but he will be able to immediately get himself the upgrade for his spearmen, spear on the horizon, or greatest of the 50, depending on what he wants to go for first. And this tornado probably should be cast immediately, just in case masons and fortified town centers comes in, and this will be an immediately dead town center. However, the stable's well positioned, going to mean a couple of militia are going to be getting unfortunately produced, or fortunately produced, the Skady, depending on which way you're rooting, as the town center does end up going down. Kimo pushing in right now, going after everything in this position. Let's check out his production. He's still not getting those upgrades in. We are seeing a little bit of raids over onto this position over here. Do we have ourselves the upgrade? Yes. Skin of the Rhino is in for Kimo, so his village is going to be a little bit strong. Going to be able to take some hits and not fall, as we are seeing also an Avenger coming through to defend this position nicely, as Kimo is continuing to push in over here. Skady's got some resources left. He's going to be attempting to get this town center back up, but will he be able to hold here is the big question, as Kimo's push is starting to look very, very scary. But what I think the big thing that Kimo can, or not Kimo, the big thing that Skady can do now is say, look, no worries, take this town center for yourself, go to the Mythic Age to Hephaestus, and then just go in with mass Colossus and mass whatever he wants in order to push back. He's kind of shouldn't be as scared of a 3-town center Horus as you are scared of a 3-town center Osiris, Ra, that is. You shouldn't be as scared with Poseidon. So we'll see what Skady's decision is going to be. He's still producing units to be safe. His base is looking a little bit open here. He hasn't walled off the back here behind this town center now that Kimo's pushed through. So Kimo's going to be able to put a lot of very, very strong pressure onto Skady as this game goes on. You can already see the raids coming through. A couple of spearmen chariots coming onto this gold mine over here to get a little bit of damage done, as the villagers for Kimo probably going to want to look to grab this gold mine, grab this town center. We see him grabbing it right now as the unit's going to be coming through. This one Avenger, fairly strong. We still haven't gotten that upgrade through for Kimo, which is a very strange thing. We are seeing Avengers as the option instead of those spearmen upgrades, as they're going to be really, really helpful. There's no Atlanta here, as we see the Theseus immediately getting targeted down, but there is still the Hippolyta in the back, going to be getting a big amount of damage done onto these Avengers. It is well worth it to just retreat your myth units back and then get those chariot archers to target it down. But now the big timing is coming through for Skady. He's got himself up to heavy Hippocon. So these Hippocon are incredibly scary for a Ra player to deal with. Whenever you see heavy Hippocon, it's time to think, well, better get my upgrades, retreat away, and stop fighting, because those Hippocon are huge at 187 HP. And they can just stay alive for long enough to get that extra damage done, and your chariot archers will be very, very useless in a big way. As we're still seeing just 3 military buildings up for Kimo. He's still going for the raids with these units over here, hitting Skady's economy nicely, but Skady is pushing through fairly well himself. However, these Toxotes, they're unupgraded, and an Avenger special attack is coming. Look at this damage right now as those Toxotes get absolutely carved up here. Immediately, the Theseus gets targeted down again, and the Avenger just completely tears through these Toxotes. They're fairly useless in a fight like this, as we see the special attack coming back again, going to be getting even more damage done. There's the medium Toxotes coming through, as now Skady has to retreat back. The raid in the middle of Kimo's base is over, and Kimo's going to be looking for somewhere else to go here, as now Kimo moving forward. We'll see if he's going to grab this town center anytime soon. Now he is spamming mercenary. How is his trade route looking? He's building trade. He's fixed up his market in the very corner of the map. He's only got a handful of camel caravans, but he's still fine. He's still got this gold mine to move on to. He probably shouldn't be making mercenary anymore. He's got plenty of resources in the bank. Armory upgrades are fairly fairly ungrabbed just yet. Still no upgrades for his Spearman here, but the Avenger is very, very helpful in these fights as the Hippocon come onto the back of these Chariot Archers, getting some really, really good damage done, but the Spearmen doing some good damage themselves. The Avenger over here getting targeted down nicely by the Hippolyta. While the Avenger is a really, really high DPS unit, it does tons of damage, it's got such low pierce armor that Hippolyta is actually, and the ranged Greek hero is actually really, really useful against it, as opposed to the melee heroes, which with 60% hack armor, maybe not as good. Kimo might want to think about just putting some towers here or something, getting crenellations, and slow pushing this one, because Skady's now 3 town centers. He's got plenty of villages. He's got good food economy. Maybe he needs to go up to more like 25, 30 villages on food at this point in order to support maybe his production of villages and potentially going up through getting a trade route. We are still seeing Kimo with a handful of raiding units on the back here. The villagers finishing up on that gold mine, moving over here. A little bit scary of a position here for Kimo. Kimo doesn't really want to be fighting here. He needs the town center. He's very, very low on resources. And Skady continuing to take these fights. He's doing a really, really good job at limiting Kimo's movement on the map here. So this is pretty scary for Kimo. You can see the score differential heavily in the favor of Kimo, but I don't think it's that big of a deal just yet for Skady to have to overcome. He can definitely find a way back in this game as the mercenary cavalry moving in onto this position. We see the mining camp getting deleted here. Potentially, Kimo is going to move over here and grab this this town center fairly soon. I mean, he needs to throw up a Migdol or something on this position to allow him to hold it a little bit easier, but he's just not doing it. He's just making the Chariot Archers and the Spearmen. Still no upgrades on the Spearmen. He is getting himself champion chariots, so that's going to help out quite a bit. This is a little known fact. Well, actually, I thought this did more than that. It's just 10%. I thought it was 20% or something, but we are seeing some nice micro there by Skady. Skady actually getting himself Spirited Charge as well, so those Hippocon moving at 6.05 speed can very, very easily dodge the Chariot Archers' arrows if you micro it nicely. I mean, Kimo's economy is going to be set up though, so it's a big question mark as to whether or not Skady is going to be able to push through and hold here, but Kimo doesn't really need this gold mine anymore. His trade route is huge. He's got plenty of camel caravan. He's got the priest on the market. So Skady pushing through here isn't the worst of situations, but Kimo needs to basically stop producing camel caravans very soon so he can afford upgrades, because every 15 seconds he's spending 100 food or 200 food. That means he's not going to be able to get his heavy spearmen, his greatest to the 50, his armory upgrades, all that stuff. You basically need to stop production of the economy for a little bit and let that economy actually pay for itself. Otherwise, you're constantly just waiting. And now Kimo is kind of stuck in his base. No gold. Does have a trade route. It's a plenty strong trade route. But normally in this situation, Kimo would be Osiris here and feeling like maybe fairly fine about sitting in his base because he knows that he's going to be able to push out with Mummy and with the Son of Osiris and everything else and make it work. But I'm not sure that Kimo's going to be able to ever break through the Poseidon army here. Look, Skady's economy completely fine. Let's check out the economic upgrades. He's got himself Bowsaw, Shaft Mine, just about to get himself Irrigation. So his economy is going to be getting a big kick very soon. Skady now full 145 of 145 population. No fortified town centers. He's got himself a market up, so he can go to the Mythic Age once he gets those that 2,000 resources that he needs. Right now, we're seeing some siege towers coming out for Kimo to try and push through this location. There is a very real possibility of a wall and catapult to take this town center down, but that's not right now Kimo's plan, as we're seeing more units coming in to defend. Skady's just got tons of Toxotes here. He might want to consider cancelling the Toxotes in favor of getting more Hippocon, because right now the Toxotes don't have any pushing power. They're just going to kind of trade maybe relatively evenly, maybe not so much because the champion chariots are out. And if you're aware of how the auto queue function works, if you're going to continue to lose your cavalry or your infantry and you're still building Toxotes, eventually instead of it being a 1-to-1 ratio, it's going to become a 2-to-1 ratio, a 3-to-1 ratio, and then you're going to have a fairly weak army. So once you've got your 1-to-1 ratio, stop building archers, and build just Hippocon is a way to fix all of that up. Make sure you've always got a strong army. While this is going on, Skady decides to grab his 4th town center instead of going to the Mythic Age, which may be a good idea, maybe not a good idea, but he's gone for it, and we'll see if that's going to be of any use or not to him, or if it's going to be a good idea or not a good idea. We'll see how that's going to work. Kimo's got lots of different options for catapult pushes, but right now he's not really making any ground anywhere as a big... He's just continuing to fight, and this is kind of an even fight in a big way, and Skady's going to continue to get more and more economy up. He might even start his trade route, and he's completely fine sitting here at 160 population against Kimo. Kimo is 140 population, so a 20 population deficit for Kimo to overcome here. He does have slight technology advantage in champion chariots, and the fact that they are heroic age units as opposed to the heavy Toxotes here. But with the spearmen and no real upgrades, or he does have himself the greatest of the 50 right now for his spearmen, so they're going to be able to do tons of damage to the Hippocon. But Kimo's not going to be dealing with these units easily at all, as we see the mercenary cavalry coming in onto this position, going to be hitting those Toxotes nicely. They do still have 41% pierce armor, so whenever the mercenary are getting targeted down, they're close to a Huskarl in terms of effective HP, I think, or if not more HP than a Huskarl, so they take a long time to get killed off. And you can also set the siege tower in the front and kind of have the Toxotes targeting that one down as well. Can be a very, very useful way to play that one there. As we see more units pushing in onto this position. We'll see how this is all going to go here as the Theseus moving forward for Skady. And he has to pull back just a little bit, but he's getting closer and closer to being able to click up to the next stage. I would say the big question is, do you pick Artemis or do you pick Hephaestus? But if your opponent ever picks Horus, 9 times out of 10, Hephaestus is going to give you a better chance of winning against Horus than Artemis. Yes, the Chimera are nice. Yes, the Earthquake is nice as well. But Plenivolt and Colossus, where your opponent's got no real good counter to them, is very, very strong in and of themselves. As we're now starting to see an attempt to come over here to take this town center down. Hephaestus is now coming through for Skady. Very, very late, but... Well, not necessarily late, but late in the grand scheme of things. He's got a good economy set up. He's got his town center here. I wouldn't be surprised to see fortified town centers coming through relatively soon. We see the chariot archers coming through to take down some villages. They are getting targeted down by the town center here, as the villagers are going to be shanking just a little bit to prevent this raid from coming through. As meanwhile, this push from Kimo is getting thwarted just a little bit. Catapult rolling in. You have to be super careful with the catapult. They are high value units with low HP, or high cost units, I should say, with low HP. So very easy to take down. Do a lot of damage if they get in there and get the position. But if you don't have the position, building the catapult seems fairly wasteful here, as more catapults are coming through. The chariots are dealt with over here, and Skady is back to normal. Hephaestus is about to come through, and what really can Kimo do? That's the big question. He can go for rock raids. He can go for side builds. What I think would be a great idea actually would be get these villages and the pharaoh in a rock, fly over here, or fly over to a point where Skady can't see, maybe over here or something, and then just sit in here, build a bunch of buildings, and try and strangle this town center from multiple angles. Get in with a bunch of towers or something in the fog of war, and then say, hello, I exist, and your town center is getting sieged from this side instead, and you can't defend that. So the idea of getting set up on a town center would be a way to get your town center back, hiding that. Because you can see that's what Kimo's trying to do, but he's doing it in line of sight of Skady, and Skady's just going to say, no, not today. You're not going to be able to make that work, because I see you doing it. So being a little bit more sneaky there could be one option. As we see the chariots doing some effective pushing, but he does have to pull back. The catapults here in the siege works for Kimo, just waiting it out. This tower is never going to get out. It's only a watchtower as well, as Kimo hasn't managed to get his tower upgrades just yet. As we see some more walls coming in over here for Skady, is trying to strangle Kimo even more, or somewhat, yes. He's trying to maybe go after these houses or something. Skady is yet to get himself a fortress, but he does have Colossus now, and Skady's got himself 79 favor in the bank. That's a ton of Colossus right now, plus upgrades. This is going to be a tough mountain for Kimo to climb here, as Skady is getting further and further ahead in this game. Kimo right now, he's still producing his spearmen. He's still sitting at only medium spearmen here. He's got decent armory upgrades, but that's about it. As the catapults are going to be continuing to get produced over here. We see the siege works getting taken down. The priests coming through to try and take out these Colossus. You can see they tickle the Colossus. It's doing like 6 damage a tick or something. 6 DPS a second. That's not a lot. Skady does decide to retreat away for the time being, go elsewhere. Meanwhile, this fight's still ensuing on this position over here, and I imagine that Skady is going to be getting his upgrades for very, very cheap right now. He's got his 3 armories up. He's got himself Forge of Olympus, holding on to this position. Still no fortress, so no siege, but I mean the Colossus are in. Skady hasn't started a trade route. Oh yes, he has started a trade route in pure Matrius fashion. His market is not on the corner, but it is what it is. This is what Skady's learned from Matrius, and that's just how things go. What is Kimo going for? What's the plan? He's got his rock over here. It's got 66 HP, so it's going to be a little bit ineffective. 4 catapult in the siege works are going to be getting shown over here, as the catapult for Kimo are just going to roll forward and attempt to take this town center down. This is, what is this? 400, 800, 1200, 1600 resources that is going to get taken out very, very fast here. Not do any effective damage. Maybe doing like 400 resources worth of damage on this town center. The town center is going to get repaired right back up. No problems there, and Kimo's going to be kicking himself for that problem there. Is now the spearmen come into heavy spearmen upgrades. Skady, on the other hand, he's thrown down 2 fortress on this position over here. He still has the opportunity to make those Colossus over here. We aren't seeing that. Not only that, Skady also has access to Polyphemus, who is an absolute beast of a hero unit. Can push through basically any buildings at the same efficiency as a Colossus, so we might be able to get that one through as well. We see the Pharaoh getting some good value in. Pharaoh, definitely a unit that can take down the Colossus, but you only get 2 of them. Or 1 of them if you're Horus, 2 of them if you're Osiris, and they're incredibly squishy. They've only got 130 HP with fairly low armor as well. As you can see, that's exactly what Skady is going to be trying to target down over here. You can see the Toxotes maybe tried to target the Pharaoh, but unfortunately misclicked there. Is Skady going to be pulling back? He drops down a little bit of population here as he has to pull back. The problem for Skady, it's not a big problem, but the problem for Skady is he has to overcome mercenary cavalry to really push through. The answer to mercenary cavalry is towers. Your opponent is spending resources on these mercenary cavalry. They cost 120 gold. So you can build towers. Towers don't cost population. Now we're seeing that from Skady. You get yourself crenellations, you get yourself watchtowers, guard towers, and those mercenary cavalry stop being effective in the defense. Kimo, on the other hand, plenty of resources. He should be at full iron by now. He's not there. He's getting close. He's only got the 1 armory. He needs to be spending those resources and getting the technologies through. We are seeing Kimo now going for the rock raids over on this position. The priest empowering the siege works to get as many of them out. He's got the rock over here. Going to try and drop on this town center and get back into the game that way. It is an option. I feel like it's not a good option because it's very easy to defend against rock raids with Greek. With 1 Hippolyta, you just build it on the town center that's being sieged. It's always going to come out in time. It takes like 14 seconds or 17 seconds to build. The town center shouldn't die unless maybe you've got 5 catapult or something like this, which is a lot of population. As we see the towers getting thrown up on this position here. Skady ready to push in with his Heliopoli, but He still needs to push further forward with these towers. Skady right now not with the resources just yet. And now we see the trade stop coming through for Skady. Exactly what he needs to do to stop mercenary cavalry completely here. But the chariot archers are already over here. Skady could very easily send some Hippocon over that side and deal with this, but he hasn't yet done it. The villagers are getting taken down though, but the damage has kind of been done a little bit. These camel caravans are going to be very confused, and they are going to stop very soon working. They do have this little gap over here that they can break through, but it's going to be a tough one. Skady can get himself the upgrade for his wooden walls as well if he wants to make them stone walls, make them even stronger over there as the Heliopoli breaking through the barracks, trying to push through. Kimo's now having to split his army up to deal with basically no population over here. So that's going to be a bit of a problem for him as, I mean, Skady hasn't quite finished his walls here. So it has done damage, but not all too much. Meanwhile, Kimo coming through. He's going to hit the town center. He has managed to make it work. He didn't need the rock. Setting the guard towers up over here. We are seeing Hippocon coming through, but the town center will fall. Kimo's got plenty of resources in the bank right now. And, I mean, Skady is at 180 of 160 population. He's making a good push through this location, but losing this town center is not ideal at all for Skady. We'll see if he's going to be able to hold. He's throwing up towers on this position. We see the rock picking up these catapult, and the rock raids are going to be starting. They're very, very potent, but there's only two catapult in this rock. We can see him able to take down a tower very nicely here. The villagers immediately reacting over here, but we are going to be seeing Kimo just saying, all right, I'm off. Let me go elsewhere. Meanwhile, villagers finishing off these walls. You see a dock coming up over here as a defensive tool over there, but right now Kimo's not able to hold this push on this position, even though he's taken Skady's population down to 160 here. He's still not going to be able to hold these units. Still not fully upgraded, almost there, but they've still got that advantage over Kimo, who's not quite iron upgrades. He needs his iron mail and iron weapons to really be there. As Skady here throwing walls down, trying to be as defensive and protecting all of his weaknesses as he possibly can while putting pressure on. Meanwhile, this position over here getting held decently. We see Colossus coming through to take these positions down. Do we see any upgrades coming through for those Colossus? Not just yet. He should think about at least Silver Colossus. If you take a look at the bonus upgrade for Silver Colossus, it's 200 HP, so it's fairly useful to get that one, as we see the Migdol Stronghold being denied here. Kind of need Avengers or something to deal with the Colossus like this. Priest not so good. Pharaoh maybe can come over here. We see some more towers coming up. The guard towers getting set up over here as we see the Hippolyta coming through. The rock coming in onto this position, potentially going to try and take down this market. Skady is defending this purely with just villagers, which is a decent try. He's got a Hippocon over here. It's just one catapult in onto this position, as we're going to be seeing the catapult getting taken down, gets picked up just as the villagers do turn around and pay attention to this one. The rock's going to be moving over onto this side now, going back over onto these markets. There are two markets here. Skady can just throw down another market if he wants to. Make it a little bit harder for those catapults to make any ground, as we see the town center getting denied there by the catapults that are rolling in. But while this is happening, the Colossus able to tear down these guard towers fairly easily here, as the Colossus pushes through to take down this guard tower as well. And the town center is going to go up very, very fast. Meanwhile, we see the Hippolyta coming through here. It's going to be a dead catapult, dead rock, and the rock raid has been dealt with. Do we see any attempt at coming over onto this position? Not just yet. Migdol's getting thrown down here for Kimo. Colossus trying to get built by Skady on multiple temples here, as the town center just about to come up for Skady. The Colossus going to be coming through. Going to be very tough to hold here, as if we take a look at Skady's perspective here, he's got the full map control. He's got maybe 3/4 of the map controlled for himself with 4 town centers. Could do with getting himself signal fires here so he can see a little bit more. That's the upgrade here to give yourself extra building line of sight. But in any sense, he's got full control over here. The Petropolis coming through onto this position. The Colossus is going to be swinging around to try and deal with this location. Maybe even taking out the markets here is a great idea. There are 3 markets here, but the Colossus will eventually clean those up as the villagers finishing off the gold mine on this position here. There is still multiple gold mines left on the map, so Skady can continue to do what he wants to here, as We see more towers coming up on this position over here. Polyphemus finally making a showing here as he's going to be moving forward to take out these mercenary cavalry, take out buildings, but the fortress falls, but some militia are going to be coming through. One thing that Skady is missing here, which is maybe a little known fact, maybe only Poseidon mans know it, but militia do benefit from infantry line upgrades, and Skady hasn't built any military academies in this game, so he cannot have any of those upgrades. So these militia should be like closer to like 140 HP or something like that than the 100 HP, and would be much more of a nuisance to deal with. But we are seeing more towers coming down for Skady as he's trying to hold on to this position as best as he can. The Hippocon going to come through, take out the catapult, but the guard towers are up. You can see the damage getting dealt to those Hippocons so fast, especially with the greater to the 50 spearmen. And the spearmen have also got Spear on the horizon, so that's absolutely huge there as well. Meanwhile, we see some Avengers coming through here to try and deal with these Colossus, but the Polyphemus is in here. The Colossus deal with all those markets, and now Kimo has to take the short trade route coming from this location to this location. It's very short, but he is managing to make this push work here. He's got the upgraded catapult coming through. The tower's getting spammed here. The spearmen able to deal with these Hippocons fairly easily. All that he needs to throw down here is like a cheeky wall or something, and this catapult is going to take down this town center very fast. So what is Skady really able to do here? He needs to keep pushing onto this location here while all the population is coming through here, and maybe repairing this town center up wouldn't go too far astray here as more units coming through. But now the Colossus is in, the catapult is dealt with, and this is going to take a long time to go down. Yes, spearmen actually not that bad at dealing with a Silver Colossus. Funnily enough, the spearmen actually deal more damage, I think, to the Silver Colossus than a priest actually does, because the Colossus only got 50% hack armor, and the damage is 10.5 hack damage per second, as opposed to whatever this is dealing, 4.5 times 800 divided by the 80%, whatever you do, however you do that math. But the Colossus does go down, the town center under siege yet again, as the units are going to be moving right into the base of Skady. Of Kimo, I should say. Skady, though, still doesn't have himself champion Hippocon, which is a bit funny, but he's got himself the Silver Colossus, going to be able to actually take down these houses as well. But right now, the army just moving in to take this town center down. If you take this town center down, the gold income for Kimo is completely removed. So this push is absolutely game-ending for Kimo, and Kimo knows this. He's coming with his priest, maybe going to empower the town center to help it stay alive. Meanwhile, this town center are getting very close to falling. There's 4 catapult moving in onto this position. More units trying to come in to defend this one. We see the temple getting taken out, but while this is going on, the town center for Kimo about to fall here. There's no way to hold on to this town center here with those Colossus. They're just too tanky, as the town center is now at 500 HP going down. Skady does drop down to 3 town centers, but Kimo, is he going to be able to hold on to this one? Answer, no, yes, maybe just barely. He holds on to it with the priest empowering here, just barely. That's absolutely huge for Kimo as he's dealt with this town center. Will this be the most epic comeback you've ever seen right now, as Kimo, the comeback king, showing what he's made of? He still has to push through all these towers, but he's dealt with that push absolutely beautifully here. The town center going to be repaired back up very fast. The catapults, towers all up. We are now starting to see some Petropolis coming in onto this position to deal with these towers, and Skady starts researching secrets of the Titans. Kimo's got no wood income, no resources in the bank. He does have the favor, but can he get himself out secrets of the Titans for himself or not is the big question here. We see the rock raids coming back in onto this position over here. The Toxotes are in here to deal with this one. This catapult needs to get picked back up, but we see one almost falling here. Where is Skady's Hippolyta is the big question, and the answer is already over here, as he's going to deal with this rock incredibly fast. The cat market's getting taken down, though they might actually fall here as the Hippocon aren't doing their job, but the rock falls. The catapults going to fall as well. We might see the market get repositioned over onto this position or something, as Kimo still slow pushing through this location here. There's so many towers and buildings here for Skady. He is unrelenting with his building production at this stage of the game. He's not going to let up there. We are seeing some walls coming in onto this position for Skady to take control here and maybe build some buildings, make a push through this location onto this town center yet again. Take control of that. There isn't a bad idea, as the Spearman doing some good work onto this position. But I mean, you can't really fight underneath these buildings here. Oftentimes the best composition to go for is just siege towers at this stage of the game. But right now Skady's got himself the Titan. We'll see where he wants to build this one. Plenty of resources in the bank here, as the Titan is going to get thrown down onto this position. Is there any attempt by Kimo to get a rock around there and try and catapult down this one? Answer looks like no. I don't see anything on the top side of the map. No real attempt to go through there. Kimo doesn't have the resources at all to get out of Titan. He's got no economy. 16 villages on food, 17 villages on wood, and a metric shit ton of super inefficient camel caravans at 24 gold a trip here. We do see the catapult is in. More units pushing in here for Skady. He's going to get that Polyphemus through, and in that moment Kimo realizes, yep, I'm not going to be able to deal with the Titan. I can't get my Titan out. I can't stop the Titan coming through, and he does throw in the towel at just before the 40-minute mark. An incredible display here from both players of sheer resilience to hold on in this game. I'm not sure if Kimo ever managed to get this town center for himself. Skady played it incredibly well here with his game plan. I think that when you go for Horus with Ra, you have to hold on to Shifting Sands. I don't feel that you can use Shifting Sands to kill off a Hippolyta. I think that is the single worst way you can use Shifting Sands. The idea of casting Tornado to kill this town center off and then hitting this town center at the same time with a whole bunch of units is invaluable for a Ra player, for a set player to go for. Any sort of, it's equivalent to like using Underworld with Egyptian, with the idea that you bring a handful of villages and a pharaoh, and your buildings come up so much faster than a Greek player because you got empowerment. So the idea of using Shifting Sands as a defensive tool is just should be like the 5th priority. If you really need to use Shifting Sands as a defensive tool, okay, do it if you're like game losing. But your game plan should always be for Ra and Set to be getting aggressive with Shifting Sands, because otherwise you get greeted by this and your opponent can come over here and do this and do this. But just imagine for a second if you could just come onto this town center and kill this. There's nothing here. There's nothing here at all, and could be a time. But Kimo didn't manage to get anywhere after Skady had set up, and in the end, not enough economy to get a Titan out to keep on playing, and Skady gets the dub. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.